Ghouls and Goblins, Jeff Duke here with Your Guitar Sage. And today we're going to be looking at the top 5 Halloween licks you can play today. These are my personal top 5 favorites, and I love Halloween. I look forward to it every year, and I know when September rolls around, I know it's right around the corner. So let's dive right into these licks. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at today is the theme from the movie Halloween. And this one is really simple. You're going to be able to play it in no time. So what we're looking at is basically just a power chord, but we're going to be on the top 2 strings, the high E and the second string B. So I got my first finger on the 7th fret of the 2nd string, which is an F sharp note. And then I got my 3rd finger on the high E string, the 1st string, on the 9th fret, which is a C sharp. So right there you just have an F sharp power chord. And then all you're doing is alternating between those 2 strings, and that pattern continues throughout the entire song. So going back and forth would be like this. So that's the basic lick. It's fairly simple, but very effective, and it's very creepy. The other thing that the song does is it takes that exact same form and that exact same pattern and just shifts it around as the song moves around. Basically what it does is it drops down in half steps to start, so you can start messing around with starting on the F sharp and then dropping down a half step every time, and it keeps modulating like that through the whole song. So here's a slight example, not the whole song, but a slight example. There's the Halloween theme. Let's jump into the next one. All right, number 2 on my top 5 list is the theme from the TV show The Munsters. It's basically pentatonic based with a couple little passing tones, which make it really cool. So let's check out just the very beginning is a simple little E to B with a passing tone in between. So at full speed, the little intro thing, which is only a couple of seconds, goes like this. So all I'm doing there is hitting the low E string open, and then I'm sliding from the 6th fret, the B flat, to the 7th fret, B, like this. You could use any finger. Second finger just came naturally to me. So that's the very basic intro to it. And then it goes right into the lick. You're going to be in your basic E minor pentatonic box shape that we all know. And you're going to be starting on the E note, the root, and going from the 14th fret on the 4th string, the D string, with my 3rd finger, to the 1st finger on the 12th fret of the G string, the 3rd string, and then back. So you're going to start like this. So just back and forth between those notes. The first 3 notes are just that. Then you're going to have a passing tone, and you're going to slide with your 1st finger from the 11th fret on the 2nd string to the 12th fret. And then you're just going to take your 1st finger and roll it over to the 1st string, 12th fret. Okay, so far very slow. Here's what we have. And then you're going to do a pull-off, 2nd finger on the 13th fret of the 2nd string to the 12th fret. Then you're going to land on your third finger on the 14th fret of the third string. So here's what we have. And then to finish out the first part of that, you're going to go back to your first finger on the 12th fret of the second string, and you're going to basically walk down an E minor scale like this. So very slow, here's what I'm doing. First finger starts on the 12th fret of the second string. Then 14th fret to 12th fret on the third string. Then 14th fret, 12th fret, 11th fret, all on the third string, and I'm just going to slide my first finger down. Then we're going to move to the 4th string, back to our root, third finger on the 14th fret. 12th fret with my first finger back to the 14th fret. So here's the entire thing very slow. Okay, so there's the whole first part of the lick. So here it is at full speed. Okay, now the second part is going to start off exactly the same. Then the ending for the second part is going to be just a little different. So you're going to go 12th fret and 14th fret on the third string, up to the 12th fret on the second string. So you're going to walk up. And then you're going to have a big skip. So your pick's going to jump a few strings in here, but you're going to get an octave from the B note on the 12th fret of the second string to the B note on the 14th fret of the 5th string. And you're going to walk up from the B note on the 5th string, first finger on the 11th fret of the 4th string, 13th fret, and 14th fret on the 4th string to finish back on your E. So here's the whole second half. And that's the whole thing. Okay, so number 3 on my list of my top 5 favorite Halloween licks is Tubular Bells, and this one is from the movie The Exorcist. Here it is slowed down, and I'll give you all the notes before we really get into some of the more interesting rhythmic concepts. So first, you're going to be on the E string the entire time. And I use alternate picking. Now, you may at certain points want to use a hammer-on when you're playing 2 notes in a row. I prefer alternate picking. I just like the attack of the pick. But that's up to you, and I'll give you the option when we get there. So first, I start on an upstroke because it doesn't really start on the downbeat. It just wouldn't feel right if I started it that way right on the downbeat. So we're going to start on the upstroke on the E string, open. You're going to hit the 5th fret with your first finger. And then the 7th fret with your third finger, with an E string in between. And then after the 7th fret, you're going to hit the open E again, and then have your first finger on the 3rd fret and your third finger on the 5th fret. Now this is a point where you could utilize a hammer-on if you wanted. Again, I prefer to pick it, but you could use a hammer-on, it would sound like this. Or I pick it like this. Either way, there's no wrong way, whatever feels better to you. So that's the first part. Then after you hit the 5th fret, you're going to hit the open E again, and then you're going to shift up, so your first finger is going to hit the 8th fret, followed by an open E. Third finger is going to hit the 10th fret, followed by an open E. So now here's what we have. Okay, then you're gonna hit another open E, and then you're gonna hit the 7th fret. Followed by the 8th fret. And then you're gonna hit the open E, which is gonna be the start of the lick again. So here's the entire first part slow. Now, that's the second half that I just started, which is the exact same thing, except at the end, you're gonna add an extra note like this. So what I'm adding is after I do the 7th fret to the 8th fret, which you can pick or hammer on, is I'm gonna hit the open E again and then the 7th fret again. So those 2 extra notes are gonna give you a little bit of a turn, and it does that every other time. It adds those 2 notes. So here it is, both sections really slow. And that last E would be into it again, and then it just repeats from there, doing those 2 alternating sections. And there is Tubular Bells. On to the next one. All right, number 4 out of 5 of my favorite Halloween licks is the theme from the Addams Family. It starts off with a really cool little scale run, and it just moves up a whole step. So what you're starting off on is the low F note on the low 6th string with your first finger. And you're just gonna go up 1st fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret, and your pinky's gonna be on the 5th fret. In the middle, I use my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret. You can use your 3rd finger. That's personal preference. I just like a 2nd finger for the stretch. Now here's one thing to keep in mind is because we're so low on the neck and the frets are so far apart, is your left hand's gonna have to do a really big stretch. And the key to that is gonna be keeping your thumb down low. If you have your thumb up here over the neck, you're really not gonna be able to grab that. So get your thumb down low and get your wrist out. This way I could comfortably get that stretch. So here's what you got, and the last note you're gonna hit is the B flat on the 5th string, 1st fret. So here's the first part. Right up the scale. And I like to use alternate picking. And then in the song, there's the little finger snaps, but for guitar purposes, we could do 2 muted strums where you're just laying your hand across the strings with no pressure. So the first part, then all you do is shift that up 1 whole step. So now you'd be going 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, and then 3rd fret on the 5th string. And then it repeats itself 2 times on this second one. Before going back down. So the shift up to the 3rd fret, you're gonna have the same thing as you did before. But then after that, you're gonna play it 2 times in a row without the muted strings, like this. And then you're gonna shift back down to the 1st fret. So that whole little section, really slow, goes like this. Okay, then it's gonna get into the lick, but before it does, I like to hit the F chord, and I jump up here to the 8th fret on the 5th string, and I usually just hit like a power chord, so that'll be my 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the 4th string, and you could use your pinky on the 10th fret of the 3rd string as well. Which, we're not gonna get deep into it, but that's the 5 chord. The song is in B flat, so you just hit that 5, it kind of leads nicely into the lick. So the whole intro before we get in at full speed will go like this. Okay, so now let's get into the little lick, and you're gonna start off, this is all based around chords. So here's the first chord is a B flat major chord. So if you're familiar with your D chord shape, you're gonna take that exact shape and just shift it all the way up until your third finger is on the 11th fret of the second string, first finger on the 10th fret of the third string, and your second finger is gonna be on the 10th fret of the first string. And you're just gonna go right up the chord. So that's the start, is right up that B flat chord starting on the F note. Then you come back to your B flat note. Now you're gonna take your first finger on the second string and go to the 8th fret. And here's what you're gonna have is 8th fret on the third string, second string, and first string. And we're gonna be picking around it. So you're gonna just lay your finger across, but what you're gonna wanna do is utilize your right hand to kind of mute the strings so they're not ringing, and then roll your first finger so you're not getting this big mush up, all the notes ringing together. So what you're gonna do is hit the second string, third string, first string. So very slow, here's what we have so far. So those are the first two chords. Then we're gonna jump first finger on the 9th fret of the second string, and it's gonna be very quick. It's a passing tone, so you're not gonna stay on it. You're gonna slide from the 9th fret to the 10th fret like this. And then your pinky's gonna hit the 13th fret, and then you're gonna come back to that 10th fret, roll your finger to the third string, 10th fret, third finger on the 12th fret of the 4th string, second finger on the 11th fret of the second string, which back to our root. So now here's what we have all together very slow. Then you're gonna do just like the beginning again, same thing. So that's the same exact thing that we did before, but now to end it, we're gonna do a little trill with our first finger on the 10th fret of the second string to our second finger on the 11th fret. And a trill just means you're gonna hammer on and pull off, and a trill could be something very long, like that, but we're just gonna do it once, and then we're gonna roll over to the third string. And walk back up. So you're gonna go 10th fret on the third string to the 12th fret, then first finger on the 10th fret of the second string to the 11th fret. And that's how that lick's gonna end. So here's the entire thing slow. Okay, so right before that trill, I don't know if I mentioned it, you're gonna hit the B flat second finger first and then do the trill. So that's the entire thing, and then you can end it off by going right back to that intro. And there's the Addams Family theme. Let's jump into the last one, number 5. And Afraid of No Ghosts. Oh, Ghostbusters are 5th in our list of top 5 favorite Halloween licks you can play today. So we have two different sections that I'll show you to this particular lick, and we're going to start off with the rhythm section, which is basically 3 chords, a B power chord, an A power chord, and an E power chord. And so we're going to start on our B power chord, which is 1st finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. And you could use your 3rd finger or your pinky for power chords. I prefer my pinky, but you could do either. So from here on out, power chords are going to be up to you whether you use your pinky or your 3rd finger. It's going to be on the 4th string, 4th fret. So you just have a basic B power chord. And you're going to hit that twice. And then we're going to walk up to the A power chord by hitting the low E open, 2nd fret, and then 4th fret. Now our open A power chord is going to have the open A string and our 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Then we're just going to jump that 1st finger down to the 2nd fret on the 5th string and have the open E string. So that's our rhythm section, and here it is very slow. Now the only other substitution that I personally like to alternate is instead of hitting this low E power chord, I might like to move it up an octave, and sometimes I switch every other time just to give it a little variation. So there's 2 different ways you could hit this E power chord an octave higher. The first way is by doing a power chord with your 1st finger on the 7th fret of the 5th string and then the 9th fret of the 4th string. Or the exact same power chord, just in a different position, would be 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string and the 4th fret of the 3rd string. So here it is if I alternate between that low E and then the high E, an octave higher power chord. Okay, so that is the rhythm section to the Ghostbusters theme. Now let's jump into the lick, and for this lick, I'm going to show you in 2 separate octaves, but it's going to be the exact same lick, so it'll be easy to transpose. So let's start on the B note on the 4th string, which is the 9th fret. And I'm going to use my 3rd finger, and I'm going to use my 2nd finger on the 8th fret of the 3rd string. So basically it's just a B major, just a B and the major 3rd. And all you're going to do picking wise is alternate between that, and then you're going to jump it down a whole step to an A major. So really slow, here's the melody line. So I'm starting on the 9th fret again on the 4th string, and I'm going to alternate like this very slowly to the 8th fret of the 3rd string and then back. And then, like I said, all we're going to do is drop down a whole step. So you're going to hit the 6th fret on the 3rd string and then come down to the 7th fret on the 4th string. So very slow, the first half goes like this. And then all you're going to do to finish it out is hit again the B note on the 4th string, which is the 9th fret. And then you're going to go down to the 7th fret on the 4th string. Okay, so that's the first part. Here it is slow. So at full speed, the first part's going to sound like this. Now the second half is going to start the exact same way. But now the ending is going to go from the 9th fret again on the 4th string to the 7th fret, back up to the 9th, but then to end it, you're going to go to the 6th fret and then come back up. So here it is, very slow, the second pass, the ending. So like I said, you're going down, and I'd like to use my pinky here. This way it sets up the entire end of the lick. So my second finger will have the 7th fret on the 4th string, and then my first finger's right in place to hit the 6th fret on the 3rd string, and then back to my pinky on the 9th fret of the 4th string. Okay, so the entire thing at full speed is going to go like this. Now, what you could do that's kind of cool is take it up an octave and do the exact same lick. The finger pattern is going to be a little different, but here's how that would look. If I started with my first finger on the 7th fret of the high E string, it's just the B note again, an octave higher, and I'm going to stretch to the 11th fret on the 1st string as well. And then to hit that little A major, that little A major dyad, is I'm going to hit the 9th fret on the 1st string and the 10th fret on the 2nd string. So the first part is going to go like this. And then it's just going to be B to A, so 7th fret on the 1st string to 10th fret on the 2nd string. Same beginning like last time. But this time, we're going to end it like this. So first finger on the 7th fret of the 1st string. I like my 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. And then your second finger is right in place to hit the 9th fret on the 1st string, and then back to the 7th fret of the 1st string. So an octave higher, here's how it looks very slow. So you could switch back and forth between the two, maybe do one and then do the other. So here's the whole thing, and I'll do both octaves back to back. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. That's it for this video. I thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have favorite Halloween themes, leave them in the comments, and also give us suggestions on some other content you'd like to see. If you did enjoy it, do us a favor and hit the thumbs up, and also subscribe to the Your Guitar Sage channel, and ding the bell so that you get notifications every time new content comes out. Also, if you haven't done so already, sign up for the Unstoppable Guitar System, which gives you 30 free lessons, and you could do so by clicking the link below. Thanks, and we'll see you guys in the next video.